Happened at Fort Detrick in Maryland, mid-December, close to midnight. Cold night, thin fog, quiet shift. I was an MP on duty, nothing special, just watching the fence line and waiting for sunrise. Then the reports started coming in from the east cluster. A door shifting like something nudged it, sensors tripping in clean lines. A patrol calling in, then only breathing before the radio went dead. That was when I knew something was moving on base that didn't match anything in our training, and once it kicked off, none of us were ready for what followed. So before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel, and comment down below where you're watching from. Thanks. I still think about that night, mid-December, Fort Detrick, close to midnight. Cold enough that your breath felt like smoke. Thin fog rolling up from the low ground behind the motor pool, the kind that sticks low and slow like it's waiting for something. I was Staff Sergeant Lena Ward back then, military police. Night shift led. The one folks said never panicked. I never agreed with that, but I didn't argue either. It was around 11:40. Quiet because of the holiday schedule, half the base already gone. The ones left were either stuck on duty or pretending to catch up on work so their leave packet looked honest. Contractors were the only ones moving with purpose. They always had some last-minute wiring or pipes to check before disappearing for 2 weeks. I remember the smell first. Cold metal and wet dirt, the kind of smell Fort Detrick just carries in winter. I stood at Gate 1 watching the last few cars roll through. Most were annoyed they were out that late. A couple were tipsy but pretending not to be, leaning hard on their badges like the scanner cared. Specialist Devin Pike stood beside me, trying hard to look seasoned, even though he'd only been with us a month. Kid was eager, eyes always moving. He watched the fence line more than the cars. Woods pressed tight to the wire out there. Black shapes between darker shapes. You're staring like you expect something to come through, I told him. He shrugged. Just getting used to night, Sergeant. He wasn't. He was nervous. I could tell. First winter shift gets everyone that way. Captain Rhea Deshmo came by a few minutes later. She was the incident coordinator that night. Calm, straight posture, voice like a checklist. Most soldiers hated how serious she was. I didn't. She kept chaos from turning stupid. Rumors died quick around her. She held a tablet under her arm. Ward, keep the main routes clear. Lights in Cluster 2 flickered again. Minor report only. I'll handle the follow-up. Yes, ma'am. Pike stiffened like she'd inspected his soul. She didn't notice. She rarely did unless there was a mistake. Shift routine kicked in. Same as always. I checked the patrol rotation, verified trucks were fueled, tested my radio, pinged the perimeter cameras. A few showed pixel hiccups, but nothing major. Winter cold messed with everything on post. And Detrick was old. Even the renovated buildings breathed like they were settling into a grave. Gate traffic slowed until it stopped. The radios went quiet. It was that strange, calm military post, get late at night. Not peaceful, just waiting. Inside the MP shack, two soldiers argued about Maryland ghost stories. Some local thing about a weird bird near the Appalachian foothills. A snallygaster, one said. I leaned in the doorway. Knock it off. Keep your eyes on real things. They shut up, mostly. Outside, Pike tried not to smile. You don't believe in local stories, Sergeant. I believe in people making dumb choices because they're bored, I said. That's enough to deal with. He nodded, but he kept looking toward the fence like he wanted to see something anyway. Across the lot, Hector Vale walked by carrying a small tool case. Civilian facilities supervisor, knew every pipe, vent, and forgotten crawl space on base. His back was hunched from too many years bending under panels that weren't meant for normal humans. He waved a two-finger hello. Evening, Sergeant. Heading to Cluster 2. One of the service doors is acting up again. Which one? He sighed. Never sits right. Might be the cold. Might be the hinges. Won't know till I check. Call if anything's off. Always do. He didn't always. But he meant well. Inside the ops office, Captain Deshmo skimmed reports. She handled them like puzzle pieces. She had one from earlier about a brief power dip. Another about a door sensor that showed open for 1 second, then closed again. One camera had a flicker around 2000 hours. All the annoying little things a base does when it's old and overworked. Rumor lovers would stitch it into a monster. Rhea stitched it into maintenance issues. She asked without looking up. Ward, how's the northern perimeter sound tonight? Quiet. Too quiet? Normal winter quiet. She stopped flipping reports. Good. Keep monitoring. We'll run a minor drill later. I walked out before Pike overheard and spiraled into fear. The kid already had his shoulders tight. We stood by the fence a while, breathing steam into the cold. You ever hear anything weird out here? He asked. Define weird. I don't know. Stuff moving at night. Big shadows. Locals say. Don't listen to locals. They also say the Potomac eats soldiers. He laughed a little. Fair enough. Fog rolled thicker. Only knee-high, but enough to make shapes look uncertain. A deer moved along the tree line. I heard it before I saw it. The crunch of thin frost. But Pike jumped anyway. You're fine, I told him. I know. Just, woods feel close. They always do. Near midnight, the radios cracked with Hector's voice. MP lead, facilities here. Got a weird one for you, I answered. Go ahead. That service door? East side of Cluster 2? It's shifting. Shifting how? Like pressure's changing behind it. Not opening. Just breathing. I waited a beat. You sure it's not the temperature? Sergeant, I've been dealing with these things for 20 years. Doors don't breathe. Before I could respond, County Dispatch pinged our liaison. Some locals had reported a huge bird near the tree line outside the base. Nothing illegal. Nothing actionable. Just a report. County said it was probably a misidentified owl. But they logged it, so now we had to note it too. Rhea heard the message and shook her head. This is why rumors get out of control. But she didn't shrug it off completely. She typed something on her tablet, probably checking camera logs. Pike shifted beside me. Huge bird, he asked. Don't start. He closed his mouth. The night settled again. Wind died. Even the deer stopped moving. Around 01:15, another message popped up from Hector. Short, blunt, wrong. It's not just not latching. It's like something's testing it. I felt that one in my stomach. Not fear. Just that quiet, cold signal you get when routine stops being routine. I told Pike to gear up. Told the shack to stay alert. Told the patrol to hold position until ordered otherwise. The night had been normal, cold, quiet, empty. Empty. Now it wasn't. And none of us knew how far it would go. Fog kept thickening. Not drifting, settling. Like something pressing it down. Midnight slipped past without anyone talking about it. Nights do that when folks start feeling off but don't want to admit it. I checked the perimeter monitors again. One feed on the north fence froze for 2 seconds, just locked. No motion, no distortion. Then it jumped back like nothing happened. I replayed it twice. Same thing. A flat pause, then normal. Pike asked, camera glitch? Probably. But I didn't like how the air felt when I said it. Gate scanner chirped wrong next. A late contractor badge failed once, then scanned fine the second time. I checked the logs. No reason for the error. Thing had been steady all week. The guy apologized like it was his fault. I waved him through. He sped off like he didn't want to be outside any longer. Inside Cluster 2, Hector's voice came through again. He didn't sound scared, just irritated. That door's being weird again, he said. I took the plate off. Hinges look good, frame's good. But every few minutes, it shifts inward, like someone's leaning on the other side. No footsteps though, no air leak. Pressure's not right. Back away and wait, I told him. I'm telling you, Ward, it's like something is pushing a hair at a time. Not enough to open, just testing. I didn't respond right away. He filled the silence. And the lock history is clean. No tamper, no swipe. I finally said, stay in the lit zone. Already am. Inside the ops office, Captain Deshmukh listened with that look she had annoyed at the universe for breaking rules. She wasn't afraid, just irritated. She pulled logs, cross-checked door activity, scanned for badge hits. Her fingers moved fast. She said, if this is sabotage, it's sloppy. If it's mechanical, it's inconvenient. Either way, we control the tempo. She called for a sector pause, only for the patrols near Cluster 2. She labeled it a drill so no one asked questions. It stopped unnecessary movement without stirring drama. She always preferred quiet control. Keep the noise down, keep the dangerous people reasonable. I headed back toward Pike, who stood by the north fence again. He stared into the trees, Not dramatic, just alert. That's what bothered me. He was too new to be reading the woods like that. Hear something? I asked. He swallowed. It's not what I hear. It's what I don't. I listened. He was right. No owls. No small rustle of winter birds. No distant deer snaps. Just cold space. Then one cry far out, short, sharp, tiny echo. Bird-like, but not a bird I'd ever heard. Too low. Too rough. Pike tensed. That normal? No, I said. We didn't move. Nothing followed the sound. Just fog, tight air, quiet trees. Inside the ops office, Raya kept digging through logs. Power dip earlier still makes no sense, she muttered. Duration too short for a grid issue. Building 1's flicker doesn't line up with sensor timing. It's like someone nudged the system and left. Contractor issue? I asked. Maybe. Or bad luck. But luck doesn't layer itself. She checked a string of small maintenance flags. None of them dangerous alone. Together, though, they lined up like someone poking at weak points. She took a deep breath. Ward, I want to get ahead of this. If anything else shifts, I'm escalating. Understood. At 0150, County Liaison pinged us again. Another local call. Same area outside the wire. Someone had seen a huge bird shape, gliding low near the road. Caller was sober. County didn't think it mattered, but they flagged it anyway because of the first report. Rhea read it and sighed. Wonderful. Now we'll get soldiers whispering about monsters. As if on cue, the shack soldiers started talking again about big birds, old stories, and that same damn word, snallygaster. I shut it down once more. Harder this time. You start believing stories, I said. You start missing real threats. They quieted. Not happily, but they listened. The fog thickened until the fence posts were outlines, not shapes. Cameras showed grain. Pike kept shifting his weight like the ground felt wrong. I checked my radio again. Clear channel, no chatter. Then Hector sent another message. His voice was lower. Ward, door just moved again. Still shifting? No, different this time. A pause. Then it pressed harder, like something braced against it. Could be pressure change, I said, even though it didn't feel true. Then tell the pressure to stop breathing. Before I could answer, the system pinged. Same door sensor. Same zone. The log was short. ACCESS error attempt. Failed source unknown unknown. Not no badge, not corrupt read, just unknown. I walked into the ops office. Rhea had already seen it. Her jaw tightened. That door is not part of any drill, she said. No. No badge history in the last hour. No. She tapped her tablet. Then something tried anyway. Unease settled in the room like a second fog. Not fear. Just the realization that the night had shifted again. I checked on Pike. He was staring into the trees still. You good? I asked. Sergeant, the cry earlier? He came from the same direction twice. You sure? Yes. And you didn't follow it, right? No, ma'am. Good. He had some sense. Around 0215, the same service door log triggered again. Not a latch change. Not open or closed. Just one line, internal pressure variance detected. Hector sent a new message right after. Ward, someone isn't testing the lock. Something is. And that closed out the normal part of the night. Everything after that was the line tipping toward the wrong side. The night cracked open around 0230. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just wrong in a way you feel before you see. Two soldiers on the service road, Parker and Mills, were running a routine sweep by Cluster 2. Easy loop. Nothing tricky. I heard them on the radio talking about how cold their hands were even with gloves. Normal griping. Then their truck slowed. Headlights washed across the pavement and the edge of the woods. Parker's voice cut in first. You seeing that? Mills answered. What the hell was that? They weren't joking. Their tone dropped into the kind soldiers use when training stops helping. I keyed in. Parker, report. He breathed into the mic, steady but confused. Something crossed the road, tall shape, thin, moved fast, like it folded in on itself. Might have been wings or arms, couldn't tell. Is it still there? I asked. No, it was just gone. I didn't like that answer. Not because it sounded supernatural, because it sounded human enough and wrong enough to be dangerous. Ops lit up right away. Not alarms, just chatter. Everyone who heard the call leaned toward the screens like the cameras would suddenly explain it. They didn't. Then someone in the back room made the mistake of posting a word in the internal chat. Snallygaster. Just a joke. A late-night laugh to break the tension. But jokes travel fast. Within minutes, it spread to phones, texts, whispers. Fear needed a name, and rumor gave it one. Captain Deschmuck stepped into the ops room like she was cutting through it with a blade. Shut down the nonsense right now. We are dealing with equipment issues and a misidentified animal. Nothing else. Her voice didn't shake. It sharpened. People quieted, but you could feel the rumor sticking anyway. I stepped outside. Cold bit hard. Fog hugged my boots. Pike, I said, get inside for a minute. Grab your notes. We might need to reorganize. He didn't move. He pointed toward the fence. Sergeant, sensors just tripped. I looked at the monitor feed on the gate console. A straight line of perimeter hits blinked across the north sector, one after another, tight spacing, clean pattern. Like something moving along the fence, not crashing through it. Purposeful. Too fast for a person walking. Too controlled for a deer. Then my radio popped. The kind of pop that means someone just stopped talking in the middle of the sentence. Parker had been reporting again, checking the service door zone. We're approaching now. Door looks, hang on. Mills, you hearing that? Sounds like breathing. Slow, heavy, too close to the mic. Then silence. I tried raising them. Nothing. Not a squeal, not static, not panic, nothing. I felt that drop in my gut, the one you never admit hits you. I keyed again. Parker, Mills, respond. Dead channel. I checked the logs. The service door had clicked open. Inward. No badge. No force recorded. Just open. Captain Deschmuck leaned over my shoulder. Her voice lowered. We're done pretending this is minor. She didn't say monster. She didn't say intruder. She didn't guess. She said, we escalate. I called a halt on movement in that zone. Ordered the nearest patrol to hold distance. Not approach, not rush in. The worst mistakes happen when people run toward unknowns thinking they're being brave. Pike hovered close, nervous energy shaking through him. Sergeant, that didn't sound scared. It was just quiet. I know. What do you think happened? No idea yet. He didn't like that answer. None of us did. The ops room buzzed again, whisper level but frantic. Word about the breathing on the radio got around too fast. That's the problem with nights. Everybody's awake enough to panic but tired enough to believe the worst. Then a corporal in the shack said it out loud. This is that damn bird thing, isn't it? I pinned him with a stare. You want a joke? Do it on your own time. Right now, this is a security breach. He swallowed hard. Yes, Sergeant. Another ping hit the system. Same area, same door, same unknown access pattern. Only this time, the lock history added one more line. Rebbe added contact source unidentified. Hector patched in again. His voice had lost that easy irritation. Now he sounded cold. Ward, I'm outside the cluster. I'm not touching that door again. Something pushed it open. I didn't see anything, but it moved against the lock like it knew how. I said, stay clear. Do not approach. Trust me, I'm not going closer. I stepped back and looked at the fog, looked at the fence, looked at the dead radio channel. Something had crossed the road, moved the door, set off sensors, and gotten close enough to two trained soldiers without them firing a shot. Not a ghost, not a legend. Something real, something physical, something fast, and something smart enough to test limits instead of crashing through them. The night wasn't pretending anymore. Whatever was out there had stopped being small. It had touched the first door. It had touched the first team. And nothing about the base was quiet now, not even the fog. Captain Deschmuck didn't waste a second. She sent out the restricted movement order, quiet, clean wording that didn't spark panic but still locked half the base in place. She called it a drill, but everyone paying attention knew it wasn't. The whole posture of the post changed. Lights shifted to controlled patterns. Barriers rotated. Routes tightened until movement felt like breathing through a straw. County dispatch checked in again. They had deputies and an EMS unit staged near the main gate, not coming in, just waiting. That alone made the hair on my arms stand up. County didn't stage for drills, only real things. Inside the MP shack, Word about Parker and Mills's radio silence spread. Soldiers tried acting steady. They failed. Humans always do when uncertainty hangs in the air. Folks who'd normally be asleep or gaming on their laptops drifted toward Cluster 2, drawn by the idea of seeing something they shouldn't. Fear does that. Turns into curiosity way too fast. I jogged down the path and met the crowd before it got thick. Maybe a dozen soldiers, hands in pockets, faces fake, casual. One specialist grinned weakly. "Hey, Sergeant, we heard something's happening over there." "Yeah," another said. "Just want to check it out." I stepped into their space. "You cross that tape, you become the problem. I'll deal with you before I deal with anything else. Clear?" Their shoulders dropped. Tension leaked out of them. They backed off. Not because they weren't curious, because fear of paperwork and rank beats fear of the unknown. Pike watched the whole thing from a few steps behind me, eyes wide. He'd never seen how fast discipline cracks. Fear eats at people's brains. They think seeing the threat makes it less dangerous. It never does. We moved back toward the ops office. Inside, it was brighter than the hallway, but somehow felt darker. Screens filled with feeds, logs, alerts. Rhea stood at the center, moving tablets around like she was trying to stitch a wound. She looked at me. I pulled tonight's access logs. There's a badge ID that went active for less than a second. Contractor ID. Should be dormant. Expired 2 months ago. Stolen? I asked. Possibly. Or someone reactivated it from inside. That's the part I don't like. Sabotage? She didn't answer right away. Captain Deschmuck never said a thing until she'd measured it twice. Finally, it's not random. Someone knows how to poke the right systems. I nodded. It fit. Not cleanly, but enough. While she dug deeper, Pike stood near me, listening. He kept glancing toward the door like something could walk in at any minute. I didn't blame him. At 0300, the service door by Cluster 2 pinged again. Not open. Not shut. Just a sudden 1-inch shift recorded by the sensor. Inward, pressure pushing. Like fingers or something hooked pulling at it. Rhea tapped her tablet. "Ward, we need to prepare a retrieval team. For Parker and Mills." Yes, but controlled movement only. She meant no hero nonsense. No rushing. No adrenaline-fueled stupidity. Just slow steps. Before we assembled anything, another alert flashed onto a terminal. Not part of any system I recognized. Some internal channel, probably one of the old ones half the base forgot about. A message sat on the bottom of the screen. "You opened the wrong door." The soldier at that desk backed up like the screen might bite him. No sender. No timestamp error. No known source. "That's a prank, right?" he whispered. Rhea stared at it with her jaw clenched. "Don't assume prank. Assume compromise." Pike swallowed hard. I could hear it. Outside, the fog had thickened into something that felt heavier than weather. Lights cut small circles, not full beams. Sound carried strange, almost muffled. I pulled Pike aside. "Grab your kit, not your full ruck. Just essentials. We're moving soon." "Yes, Sergeant." He didn't ask where. He didn't ask why. Good. He was learning. The radio crackled with a deputy's voice from outside the base. "Detrick, be advised. Movement along your perimeter again. West side this time." We stop our vehicle. It stops. We roll. It rolls. Might be shadows, but we're tracking it. The deputy didn't sound scared. He sounded confused. That worried me more. I went back inside. Rhea stood over a stack of logs and door histories, flipping through patterns like she could force the night into a straight line. "Captain," I said, "we need to get the missing soldiers now." "We will, but before that, I need to confirm something." She pulled up the dormant badge again. This ID pinged near the comms node 20 minutes before the first door issue. So someone's inside the restricted zone. Yes, and they know enough to avoid cameras and trip only low-level sensors. She took a slow breath, which means either a trained contractor or someone who watched them work. "Sabotage," I said again. "Maybe." Her eyes flicked to the unknown message on the terminal. "But the timing lines up too neatly. Something is manipulating the situation." "And the thing outside?" I asked. "Unrelated. Probably wildlife." Her voice was steady but tight. She didn't believe her own words. At that exact second, another sensor line tripped, this one on the southern fence. A clean sweep, again like something moving with intention. No breaks in the wire, nothing climbing, nothing cutting, something outside testing us, something inside testing us. Two threats forming at once, one human, one not. I stepped away from the desk and keyed my radio. All MP units, hold your positions. No one moves without clear orders. Stay in lit zones. Stay paired. Nobody argued. I looked at Pike. His face was pale. You scared? I asked. Trying not to be. Good. Stay that way. Fear kept him alert. A minute later, another ping hit the monitor. This time from a workstation no one had touched in hours. Same blank message popping up again. You opened the wrong door. Only this time, a second line followed. WE told you not to. No one in the room spoke. Even Rhea froze for half a second. She leaned in close, voice steady but lower. This is not a creature rumor. This is a person with access. Then quieter, and I think they're using whatever is outside as cover. I didn't respond. There wasn't anything to say. The night had escalated past questions. Whatever was breathing through Parker's radio wasn't stopping. Whatever was pushing that door wasn't stopping. Whoever was messing with our systems wasn't stopping. And the base was turning into a maze of locked routes, cold fog, and half-lit corners where anything could be waiting. Rhea straightened. Ward, assemble your team. We retrieve the missing soldiers. No delay. On it. The night had crossed the point of no return. We were going in. The door wasn't the only thing being tested. I picked the team myself, small, tight, no one who talked too much or froze under pressure. Two MPs I trusted, Alvarez and Jensen. Steady hands, quiet minds. Pike came because I needed extra eyes, even if he hated it. Captain Deschmuk assigned Hector to us whether he liked it or not. Hector looked like he'd aged 10 years in the last hour. I don't want to go near that door, he muttered. You know the paths, I said. We don't. That doesn't mean I want to test them at night with something leaning on a door like it owns the place. Not optional. He sighed. Fine. But if something jumps out, I'm putting you in front, Sergeant. Get in line. Fog swallowed our boots the moment we stepped out. The air felt heavier, colder. Streets that usually felt wide and empty were now tight lanes between patches of darkness. Buildings loomed like they were leaning in. Rhea coordinated from the command node. Her voice cut through the radio with calm precision. Ward, maintain spacing. No sudden forward movement. I'm locking down everything behind you. No one approaches from the rear unless I call it. Copy. We moved toward Cluster 2. Every step had that wrong quiet. The kind that makes you feel like a predator is pacing you just out of sight. Lights buzzed, not flickering buzzing, like they were struggling to stay alive. Pike noticed first, his head tilted up. Sergeant, the lights sound weird. He wasn't wrong. The hum was too sharp, almost metallic. We reached the east side service door, the same one that had been shifting. Fog crawled up the concrete like wet fingers. The metallic smell hit next wet pennies, stronger the closer we stood to the door. Alvarez covered his face with his sleeve. Something died in there? He asked. No, Hector said quietly. That's not dead smell. That's something else. I crouched to examine the frame. Fresh scratches scored the edges. Thin but deep, not from a tool, not from weather, claw marks or hooks or something with leverage. Scrapes pulled inward. I didn't like that. I pushed the door with one finger. It wasn't latched. It moved just enough to breathe cold air into my glove. Behind me, Jensen muttered. Something was pushing from the inside. No, Hector said, voice tight. Outside. Those marks were made pulling. I didn't look at him. Didn't want to see his face. Nearby, the fence light caught something tangled on the wire. Alvarez walked over. Ward, you need to see this. I stepped up behind him. Feathers, but not normal. Too thick, too long, fibrous, like a cross between a feather and some torn synthetic thread. One end dark, the other pale. It shivered in the wind like it didn't know what it wanted to be. Pike swallowed. That's not from any bird I know. Yeah, I murmured. Same. We found the deer 10 yards away, lying on its side. No blood pool. Just a clean, unnatural absence in its body like something fed quick and efficient. left before making a mess. The edges were too smooth, too fast. Jensen muttered, "What the hell could do that?" "Nothing we're cleared for," Alvarez whispered. We kept moving. Step by step, hard to breathe, harder to think. Something shifted above us. Not loud, not stomping. Just weight. Heavy enough that dust shook loose from a roof ledge and drifted down between us. Every rifle lifted at once. I scanned the rooftops. Nothing but fog and shadows. Then eyes. Not glowing. Just catching the light for half a second in a way that felt wrong. Too high. Too narrow. Then gone. Pike whispered, "Did you see that?" "Yes." "What was it?" "No idea." A shape dropped lower. Quick. Silent. Close enough that the air moved. Alvarez flinched and fired one round into the ground before I got a hand on his shoulder and shoved the muzzle down. "Do that again," I growled, "and you're walking back alone." "Sorry," he breathed. Reflex. We hit the next access node. Panel open. Tools scattered. Not creature-related. Human-made. A lock bypass half-started. Someone had been working here recently. Hector's face drained of color. This isn't from tonight. Some of this was prepped earlier. Pike crouched beside the bag. Someone was going door to door messing with access points. Rhea cut in on the radio. "Ward, that matches the badge anomaly. Someone's using your zone as cover," meaning someone had planned this, or planned something else and took advantage of the chaos now. I hated human threats more than unknown ones. At least unknowns didn't make choices out of greed or anger. We rounded the corner toward the service lane where Parker and Mills had last checked in. Their truck sat with the headlights pointed toward the open door. Engine running, driver's door open. Never a good sign. "Spread out," I said. Slow. We approached the vehicle. Radio stayed quiet. Pike spotted it first. A smear trail toward the brush. Not thick like blood. Thin, dragged. Like someone had been pulled while barely conscious. He took a shaky breath. "I don't like this, Sergeant. None of us do." We moved closer to the door. I pushed it a little further. It gave easily. Too easily. Behind me, Hector muttered. "If something's in there, we're not going inside blind," I said. Fog crept into the doorway like it belonged there. Something shifted far above again, this time heavier. Dust rained down. A pipe creaked. Devin flinched. "Sergeant, it's circling us." He wasn't wrong. Whatever was out there wasn't attacking. It was observing, testing angles, watching us like we were the ones intruding. We gathered tight, weapons up, eyes scanning rooftops, corners, shadows. Then the radio popped with Rhea's voice. "Ward, log shows movement deeper inside the cluster. Human movement. Someone is using access panels. You need to confirm." "So we've got a person and something else," Jensen muttered. "Great," Alvarez said. "Two nightmares for the price of one." I exhaled slowly. The unknown night air stung my lungs. "Stay tight," I said. "We're retrieving who we can find. And we're not dying for a door." The fog thickened. Something brushed the rooftop again. Another panel hung open nearby, screwdriver still in it. Human chaos. Animal chaos. A mix that never ends well. Rhea said it best, cold and flat over radio. "Ward, someone is steering this, and something else is taking advantage." We didn't know which threat was worse. We only knew they were both getting closer. We didn't get 5 steps from that service lane before the base power hiccuped. Not a full blackout, just a hard drop. Lights dimmed to nothing, then surged halfway back. Cameras died and rebooted. Radio spat static. The whole place exhaled wrong. Pike froze. Alvarez cursed under his breath. Hector muttered, "Not again, not tonight." I keyed my radio. "Ops, status?" Static. Then Rhea's voice, clipped but steady. "Short power event. Cameras down. Working on restoration. Hold your team in lit areas. Copy. We just lost rooftops. No one moves alone," she said. "Do not chase anything." The fog thickened until our flashlights looked like they were cutting through milk. Sound went strange. Muffled 1 second, stretched the next. Boots on concrete echoed like we were walking in a tunnel even though we were outside. County deputies radioed in at the same moment. "Movement along your perimeter again. West side, something's pacing us." Another deputy added, "It stops when we stop." "It knows we're watching," Pike whispered. Why would it do that? Because it's not scared, I said, but I didn't believe that either. It wasn't fear, it was patience. Like it was waiting for something to shift in its favor. The fog swallowed us deeper as we pushed toward a safer route, away from the exposed service road. Hector waved us sharply to the right. No, not that way, he said. Open ground, too many blind spots. Come on, tunnel access is this way. Tunnels? Pike asked, voice cracking. Old service routes, Hector said, dry utilities. No experiments, no labs, just pipes and cables. Mostly empty now. Good cover from above. I stared at him. And you didn't mention these earlier? Because they're miserable, he said. But safer than standing under whatever keeps hopping rooftops. He wasn't wrong. The team followed him. The tunnel entrance looked like an afterthought in the concrete small steel door, faded hazard paint half buried under dead leaves. Hector unlocked it with a quiet clack and swung it open. Stale, cold air breathed out. Watch your step, he said. Floor's uneven. We ducked inside. The metal door shut behind us, and the world became narrow. Cramped walls, low ceiling, damp concrete sweating in the cold. Pipes lined one side, old warning stickers peeled off in curls. The whole place smelled like rust and wet dust. Jensen ran his hand along the wall. This place feels like a coffin. Great thing to say out loud, Alvarez muttered. We moved deeper. My flashlight beam caught old maintenance tags dated years back, some decades. This route had been forgotten, except by people like Hector. At 10 yards in, radios crackled again, layers of voices overlapping. Not words. Just half-breaths and noise bleeding into each other like two channels fighting. Pike paused. Sergeant, that breathing from earlier, don't finish that sentence, I said. He nodded quickly. Two soldiers behind us started sniping at each other, fear masquerading as arguments. One said, "This is the snallygaster." I knew it. My uncle used to tell stories. The other barked, "Shut up, man. It's just a big bird." Or drone, or something. Then both went silent at the same time, because something above us slammed metal, hard. A boom that rattled dust down from the ceiling. The pipes shook. Concrete shivered. Every flashlight twitched from hands jerking upward. Alvarez whispered, "What the hell was that?" Hector said nothing. He just stared at the ceiling like he could see through it. His breathing turned shallow. I keyed my radio. "Ops, we've got impact above tunnel route." Static. Then Rhea came through, voice tight. "We lost containment sensors. Something triggered a restricted alarm on the east side." "Ward, what's your air quality like? Any odor?" "Metallic smell earlier," I said. "Not strong in here." "Why?" Silence. "Then, just keep your team moving, slowly. Do not open any restricted doors." That wasn't comforting. Further in, the air changed again. Subtle shift, like humidity rising. I didn't like how it felt against my face. Heavier. Metallic. Like that penny smell was back but weaker, stretched thin. Pike rubbed his nose. "Sergeant, you smell that?" "It's..." "Yeah," I said. We kept going. The tunnel bent left, then right. The echoes twisted with us. Our footsteps didn't sound like they belonged to us. Then the alarm hit. A sharp, harsh tone burst from somewhere above ground. Not fire, not evac. A containment alarm. I'd only heard it twice before in my career. It meant something in a restricted zone wasn't where it was supposed to be. Hector froze mid-step. "That's the east cluster. That's the damn door." The metallic smell thickened instantly, like the tunnel inhaled and exhaled at once. Pike coughed. "Sergeant, is it safe to breathe this?" "No idea." But I wasn't going to tell him that. We reached a junction door, reinforced steel with old stencils. Rust around the hinges, but solid. Hector pointed to it. "That door leads to a surface exit. If something's out there, we don't want to open it." And right then, something slammed into it. Full force. The metal bowed inward maybe half an inch. Enough to bend. Enough to make a noise that punched into your chest. Pike stumbled backward. Jensen raised his rifle. Alvarez cursed under his breath. Hector pressed flat against the wall like the door might explode open. A scraping started next. Slow. Deliberate. Like hooked claws dragging along steel, searching for a weak spot. Testing the metal. Not raging. Not panicking. Exploring. The team backed up. I kept my weapon trained on the door even though guns felt small in that moment. Another slam, harder. The hinge groaned. Pike whispered, "It knows we're here." Nobody corrected him. Nobody tried to make it sound less real. We were trapped between a restricted zone we couldn't enter and whatever the hell was trying to peel open the tunnel door. That was the moment I realized the creature, whatever it was, wasn't confused or scared or lashing out. It was hunting. And we were in its path. The tunnel door shook again. Dust rained down. Hector whimpered, quiet but real, not cowardice. Just a man who knew too much about how much metal could bend before it failed. Captain Deschmuck's voice broke through the static, sharp and controlled. "Ward, status, contact at the tunnel door. Strong. Testing the hinges. Can you hold position?" "For a little," I said. "Not long if it keeps hitting." Silence. She was weighing options, hard ones. When she spoke again, her tone was colder, more measured. "Ward, I have to make a choice. If I keep the tunnel sealed, your team could suffocate in bad air or lose mobility. If I open a controlled route, something could get deeper inside." I understood. Neither option was good. Both carried a body count. Before I could respond, another voice cut across the command channel, one of the internal security NCOs. "Captain, we detained an individual near the comms node. Unauthorized tools, bypass kit, matching the dormant contractor IB. Claims he's just fixing something. That's a lie." Ria's voice sharpened. "Hold him, question him," the NCO added. "And Captain, he's panicking. Keeps saying the creature wasn't supposed to come this close. Says he only wanted a distraction." Pike stiffened beside me. "So he knew about it? He fed it?" I shook my head. "Not fed. Baited. Maybe sound. Maybe scraps. Something to get it near the fence." Hector whispered, "People don't do that." "Yes, they do," Jensen said flatly. "All the time." We waited for more info. Became fast, tight, and ugly. The saboteur wasn't some mastermind. Just a pissed-off former contractor who thought he could slip in during holiday staffing, grab restricted materials from the East Cluster, and sell them. Whatever the hell he tried to steal wasn't our business yet. What mattered was this: he'd counted on fear doing his job for him. Scaring patrols, pulling MP focus, distracting command. The creature wasn't his creation. He'd just known something prowled the perimeter at times. Something fast and weird enough that people told stories. He weaponized the chaos, but he'd lost control. Creature didn't follow his plan. It followed instinct, and instinct had brought it straight to us. Another slam at the tunnel door cut through all thoughts. Metal groaned. Hector flinched so hard his teeth clicked. "We need to move," I said. "But to where?" Alvarez asked. Rhea came back on. "Ward, I'm opening a controlled route behind you. West exit. You'll have 30 seconds. Move, then I reseal behind you." "Copy." The door shook again. Something scraped lower now, finding the seam near the bottom like claws searching for a grip. We didn't wait. I signaled forward. Hector led, hands shaking as he unlocked a side hatch. The hinges screamed softly, but the door opened. Rhea counted down, route open, move now. We slipped out of the first tunnel into another side corridor, still below ground but broader, with taller ceilings. The metallic smell thinned for a moment. Behind us, the creature slammed the old door once more, hard enough to echo into the new space. "Keep moving," I called. We pushed forward. Pipes lined the ceiling. Fog drifted in weak wisps from vents. The whole place felt like a lung exhaling heat and sucking cold back in. Pike whispered, "Sergeant, something's above us again." I looked up. Dust trickled down. Cracks in the ceiling shed tiny flakes. Something heavy crossed overhead. Slow, deliberate steps. Not the running pace from earlier. Just pacing, tasting the air above us. Then we found the first missing soldier. He was slumped against the wall panel. Gear half stripped, helmet missing. Scratches covered his arms and chest, thin, long lines, not deep enough to bleed out, but enough to break skin. His face was pale, eyes open, but seeing nothing. Alvarez dropped to a knee. "Parker? Parker, hey, talk to me." Parker blinked, slow, then breathed a single broken phrase. "It watches." That was all he had. He went limp again, but kept breathing. Jensen checked his pulse. "He's alive, barely conscious." No sign of Mills? I asked. They shook their heads. We scanned. We shouted quietly. We checked corners. Nothing. No boots. No gear. No blood. Just a smear trail leading up a service ladder and into thick brush tops outside the cluster's edge. Rhea came on radio. Ward, do not pursue. Retrieve who you can. We'll expand later. It felt like swallowing broken glass. Leaving someone behind went against every instinct we had. But finding Mills now would probably get us killed. We lifted Parker. He mumbled again, something like neck, wings, wrong shape. I didn't ask. We hurried deeper into the corridor. The controlled route tightened, funneled us toward a surface point. Each step sounded too loud, too vulnerable. Then it happened. A vent overhead burst inward, metal sheared, bolts tearing free. Something dropped partially through, not fully. Just enough to show silhouette and movement. It wasn't clean. It wasn't a dramatic reveal. It was quick, messy, terrifying because nothing about it fit clean lines. A long neck or something shaped like one jerked down, then back up. Wings folded tight against the body, too thin in some places, too thick in others. Hooked limbs scraped the edge of the vent. The screech of metal cut through our skulls. Its eyes caught our light for a breath slit, reflecting in a way that felt wrong for anything that lived in the woods. Then it launched back upward, slamming the vent closed behind it with a bang that rattled the corridor. Pike froze in terror. Alvarez grabbed him and shoved him forward. Move, kid. He stumbled but kept his feet. We reached the surface access. Hector keyed it open with shaking hands. Lights outside flickered, like the base was breathing hard. Rhea's voice cut back in. I'm initiating the lure sequence. Motion lights and sound cycles in the east lane. Ward, when you exit, stay low, move west, and wait for my word. The lure was simple, bright pulses in controlled tones, meant to draw anything curious away from people and toward a sealed containment route. It wasn't designed for monsters, just intruders, but it was what we had. The creature answered immediately. A scream or roar or something between cut through the night, short, furious. The air trembled. Fog shifted from the vibration, and then we heard heavy movement, not footsteps, not flapping, something hybrid, hitting ground and pushing off again. Rhea whispered into the mic, "It's following the lure." For a moment, hope sparked. Then we stepped outside and saw the damage. One containment door had buckled inward like someone had rammed it with a truck. The lure lights pulsed, drawing the creature toward the sealed end of the route. We didn't see it clearly, just glimpses between fog pulses. A long shape, a hunched form, wings snapping close to the body as it barreled forward like it was built for narrow spaces. Then, impact. A slammed door. A violent shake. A sound like claws on reinforced steel. Another scream cut short by something heavy slamming shut. Rhea's voice came in, breathless for the first time. Containment route sealed, holding for now. For now wasn't comforting. We regrouped at the west lane. Parker drifted in and out. We formed a circle around him, weapons outward. The saboteur was dragged past us by security 2 minutes later. Hands zip-tied, face bruised from resisting. He kept muttering, "It wasn't supposed to come close. I just needed a distraction. I just needed money. Nobody cared." He'd gambled with our lives for a payday. A distant thud echoed from the containment zone, something testing the new barrier. Pike whispered, "Sergeant, did we win?" I stared into the fog, listening to the metal groan one more time. "I don't know," I said, because it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving, barely, and the night wasn't finished yet. Morning never really came. The sky just turned from black to a weak gray that felt tired. Fog didn't lift. It just thinned enough to make out the shapes of buildings again. Lights buzzed low. Radios came back one channel at a time. Captain Deschmuck handled the fallout the same way she handled the crisis. Quiet, controlled, no wasted breath. The official paperwork hit like a hammer. Security incident. Wildlife threat. Temporary lockdown. Nothing about dragged soldiers, breached doors, or things slamming steel. County was thanked for rapid support staging. Contractors were told it was a system glitch. Soldiers were told not to spread rumors. The word snallygaster got stamped out in minutes. Didn't matter. Everyone kept it in their heads anyway. We brought Parker to medical. He never fully woke on the walk, just muttered half-broken things about eyes and a long shape bending wrong angles. They sedated him, cleaned the scratches, checked him for anything deeper. He lived. That counted as a win. Mills never turned up. We searched until sunrise. Then again after. Nothing. Not even a boot. Just that smear trail that vanished into the woods where the fog had been thickest. Rhea carried that weight quiet and heavy, like a stone under her uniform. She knew her decisions saved lives, but one soldier not coming home is still one too many. I filed my report. Hardest one I ever wrote. Facts went on paper, only facts. No fear, no metallic smell, no breathing in the radio. I didn't write about leaving Mills behind. I didn't write about how the thing above us moved like it understood outpaths. You don't put that in official files. No one wants it there. Pike didn't talk much. He went home after shift change and didn't sleep. He told me later he kept hearing metal scrape in his head when the house went quiet, like something dragging a hook across a door. He said he turned every light on before going to bed. 2 months later, he still did. Hector quit within a month. Walked into admin, handed over his badge, said he was done with tunnels, doors, and closed places. Didn't even wait for questions. Last I heard, he moved to a maintenance job in an open-air facility down south. Can't blame him. Evidence got boxed up, sealed, buried in some controlled storage locker no one would ever casually check. A few feathers, if that's even what they were, sensor data, scratched metal samples, radio logs with weird audio dips, all shoved under layers of review pending and classified irregularities. One thermal clip from that night went missing from archive. Some said it was deleted by mistake. Others said it never recorded right. Rhea didn't comment. That silence said enough. 3 weeks later, a county deputy called our liaison about a carcass found near the tree line. Small, mangled, hard to identify, not a deer, not a dog, not clean enough to log as anything normal. County chalked it up to coyotes. They didn't push. Life on base settled into its routine again, almost. People walked faster at night. Lights stayed a little brighter. No one lingered near Cluster 2. A few nights later, I stood at Gate 1 again. Normal shift. Nothing special. Holiday lights blinking on a few buildings. Dry leaves scraping across asphalt. A car rolled up. I scanned the badge. The machine flashed red once, just a blink, then turned green. No error code. No mechanical reason, just a hiccup. "Have a good night," I said, handing the badge back. My voice sounded calm, steady, like always. But after the car pulled through, I didn't look away right away. I stared at the woods longer than I should have. The fog hung low. The fence line didn't move. Everything looked normal, but I knew better. I knew something had been out there, maybe still was. Maybe watching, maybe testing other doors far from where we'd ever see. Fort Detrick would never admit it. Not on paper, not out loud, but the truth sits under the surface with its own quiet weight. Some threats aren't enemies. Sometimes they're unknowns you don't beat. You just survive them and hope they don't come back. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.